whack. I don't know. Maybe we could like close these windows, these a little bit, move it over there. How do you do that? Can we move the curtain a little bit?
Maybe I can move you over. Make it over more towards you.
All right, I'll try. Squeeze me, honey, right?
I'm gonna squeeze you.
He's gonna squeeze me, you guys.
Squeeze you in there, that's better.
Okay, all right. Okay, this is so cozy. Happy Easter. This is Kim and Andy. We're going to read to you from the Urantia book, okay?
Hello.
We're here at the lovely Hampton Inn over here in Beloit, Wisconsin, right? So we're on little Easter vacation, so that's why the change in the surroundings here. First, we're going to read from Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey. This is by Saint Macarius, who was an Egyptian monk, ascetic priest from about the 4th century AD. So really, really old person. Okay? All right, here we go. Lord, make of my soul and body your luminous house, and amass there the heavenly riches of your spirit. What could be more lovely than that on Easter?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I don't know if I have a whole lot to say about that. That's so obvious and such a pure sentiment. You know, our body is our temple. You know, where our spirit resides. Yeah, I don't know. That's
When you look
just
at someone's
lovely.
life, it would be so amazing to see the light of heaven in someone's life.
And through their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When you see some people are shiny. If you notice, do you notice that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you go into a room sometimes and some people are just more shiny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think you're one of the shiny people. And that's not like The Shining or anything like that. The Shining or like a, yeah, right. No Stephen King right here on Easter morning. Today we are going to finish the Urantia book here, only to start again. We'll start over here from the beginning, but it's the very last passage here. And like I said this once before, but I've been doing this. I've been reading this book like this for about 4.5 years. And when I started doing it, one section every day, I had no plan of where it was going to finish. And here, spontaneously, miraculously, on Easter Sunday, we are finishing the Urantia book. Now I can say to everybody, yes, I've read the entire Urantia book from cover to cover. That's a fantastic achievement. And I think that it's a special message to me that this project is complete here on Easter Day.
That's very good. And what this means, of course, is it's time to start over.
It's time to start over. I think to me, it means I'm doing a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a special reward to me. I feel like that's how I'm taking it. Oh, sorry. Whoops. We got to put that back up. Table is slippery, guys. Sorry. Because we're trying to do this in a certain way. Okay. Yeah, because my son is sleeping in the hotel room. So we're here at the coffee bar. Probably could hear that the TV in the background, but okay, this is what we're doing. So, all right. Do you want to go ahead and start here? The Supremacy of Religion, paper 196.
Okay. Personal, spiritual, religious experience is an efficient solvent for most mortal difficulties. It is an effective sorter, evaluator, and adjuster of all human problems. Religion does not remove or destroy human troubles, but it does dissolve, absorb, illuminate, and transcend them. True religion unifies the personality for effective adjustment to all mortal requirements. Religious faith, the positive leading of the indwelling divine presence, unfailingly enables a God-knowing man to bridge that gulf existing between intellectual logic, which recognizes the universal first cause as it, and those positive affirmations of the soul, which this first cause is He, the Heavenly Father of Jesus' gospel, the personal God of human salvation.
Okay. I just want to mention here, we say the first cause is He. We don't want to be sexist here, but I think the main emphasis here is that the first cause was a person, a personality, a choice. A choice is what a personal choice, right?
Mhm.
And for God, the choice was kind of to be alone or to create something, to make something,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And I also want to mention here, religion does not remove or destroy human troubles. Yeah, but it can illuminate and absorb them. That's not how we experience our religion today, is it?
No.
Yeah, religion, I think the way we experience it commonly is that it is a source of so much discord and so much trouble. And that's not how it's meant to be. So if you are truly religious, if you call yourself a religious person, you have to do this, change the perception of religion by making it not combative. It's not supposed to be a trial. It's not supposed to be a litmus test. Okay?
Mhm.
It's supposed to be something that transcends those feelings of divisiveness.
It's not supposed
Okay.
to be a cause of divisiveness.
Right. So if you're doing that, you're doing it wrong.
Mhm. Right.
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Okay.
They are. Yeah, this is so cramped right here. But we're the light here is not the best. Okay, maybe that's good for right there. But now I can't see the book. Okay, right. There are just three elements in universal reality: fact, idea, and relation. Okay, that's worth remembering, I think.
Mhm.
Three elements in universal reality: fact, idea, and relation. The religious consciousness identifies these realities as science, fact, right? Philosophy, ideas, and truth is in relationships, is not in what I see or what I experience or in sensation. Truth is above fact in that it's a fact of my relationship with you that I love you. Right?
Right.
Okay. So that is truth. Okay. Philosophy would be inclined to view these activities as reason, wisdom, and faith, physical reality, intellectual reality, and spiritual reality. We are in the habit of designating these realities as thing, meaning, and value. I could totally make a flow chart about that, just that paragraph.
Mhm.
Okay, but we're not going to do that today. We got so much people to visit and places to go. So you're going to go ahead and read the next part. Read as long as you want. Here.
The
Yep.
progressive comprehension of reality is the equivalent of approaching God. The finding of God, the consciousness of identity with reality, is the equivalent of the experience of self-completion, self-entirety, self-totality. The experiencing of total reality is the full realization of God, the finality of the God-knowing experience. The full summation of human life is the knowledge that man is educated by fact, ennobled by wisdom, and saved, justified by religious faith. Physical certainty consists in the logic of science, moral certainty in the wisdom of philosophy, spiritual certainty in the truth of genuine religious experience. The mind of man can attain high levels of spiritual insight and corresponding spheres of divinity of values because it is not wholly material. There is a spirit nucleus in the mind of man, the adjuster of the divine presence. There are three separate evidences of this spirit indwelling of the human mind: the humanitarian fellowship, love. The purely animal mind may be gregarious for self-protection, but only the spirit indwelt intellect is unselfishly altruistic and unconditionally loving. 2. Interpretation of the universe, wisdom. Only the spirit indwelt mind can comprehend that the universe is friendly to the individual. 3. Spiritual evaluation of life, worship. Only the spirit indwelt man can realize the divine presence and seek to attain a fuller experience in and with this foretaste of divinity. The human mind does not create real values. Human experience does not yield universal insight. Concerning insight, the recognition of moral values and the discernment of spiritual meanings, all that the human mind can do is to discover, recognize, interpret, and choose.
And choose is emphasized here. That's italicized there for us. Should I go? I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, careful here. We are entertaining you here today. Okay. The moral values of the universe become intellectual possessions by the exercise of three basic judgments or choices of the mortal mind. 1. Self judgment, moral choice. Okay. 2. Social judgment, ethical choice. 3. God. This is really interesting. So self judgment is I decide for myself what's moral for me. Social judgment is that when we're put in the position where we have to enact laws and lead, right?
Mhm.
God judgment is, I don't know, I'm feeling yielding my own power to the benefit of all people.
That's well said.
Okay, instead of just me, because when I have that power, that leadership power here, that's hard to just walk away from, right? Because you feel like, oh, the people coming after me are idiots and they're going to mess everything up. And but here, when it's time for you to yield, it's time for you to yield. Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to keep going a little bit.
Mhm.
Thus, it appears that all human progress is effected by a technique of conjoint revelational evolution. Unless a divine lover lived in man, he could not unselfishly and spiritually love. Unless an interpreter lived in his mind, man could not truly realize the unity of the universe. Unless an evaluator dwelt with man, he could not possibly appraise moral values and recognize spiritual meanings. So the Spirit of God is in us because we can do these things. And this lover hails from the very source of infinite love. This interpreter is a part of universal unity. This evaluator is the child of the center and source of all absolute values of divine and eternal reality. Moral evaluation with a religious meaning, spiritual insight, connotes the individual's choice between good and evil, truth and error, material and spiritual, human and divine, time and eternity. Wow. Human survival is in great measure dependent on consecrating the human will to the choosing of those values selected by this spirit value sorter, the indwelling interpreter and unifier, which is, of course, your thought adjuster, right? Personal religious experience consists in two phases. discovery in the human mind, and revelation by the indwelling divine spirit. Through over sophistication, or as a result of the irreligious conduct of professed religionists, a man or even a generation of men and women, may elect to suspend their efforts to discover the God who indwells them. They may fail to progress in and attain the divine revelation because of external influences. But such attitudes of spiritual non-progression cannot long persist because of the presence and influence of the indwelling thought adjusters. Right. And long persist means something totally different to God here than it does to us. Here, this could go on for generations, a generation of people, a generation of men. This profound experience of the reality of the divine indwelling forever transcends the crude materialistic technique of the physical sciences. You cannot put spiritual joy under a microscope. You cannot weigh love in a balance. You cannot measure moral values. Neither can you estimate the quality of spiritual worship. So that's part of the problem, that modern man wants to quantify everything. We want to put a numerical value on it. Here, now we've got vacuum cleaning going on. We have to hurry up. Okay. So this is how long. It's pretty long. Okay. Okay, I'll keep reading. I need a drink of water. Okay, guys. Okay. The Hebrews had a religion of moral sublimity. The Greeks evolved a religion of beauty. Paul and his conferees founded a religion of faith, hope, and charity. Jesus revealed and exemplified a religion of love, security in the Father's love, with joy and satisfaction consequent upon sharing this love in the service of the human brotherhood. Every time man makes a reflective moral choice, he immediately experiences a new divine invasion of his soul. Every time you make a moral choice, every time you do the right thing, you're being invaded, right? Moral choosing constitutes religion as the motive of inner response to outer conditions. But such a real religion is not a purely subjective experience. It signifies the whole of the subjectivity of the individual engaged in a meaningful and intelligent response to total objectivity, the universe and its maker. The exquisite and transcendent experience of loving and being loved is not just a psychic illusion because it is so purely subjective. The one truly divine and objective reality that is associated with mortal beings, the thought adjuster, functions to human observation apparently as an exclusively subjective phenomenon. Man's contact with the highest objective reality, God is the highest objective reality, is only through the purely subjective experience of knowing Him, of worshiping Him, of realizing sonship with Him. So here the objective and the subjective are tied together. True religious worship is not a futile monologue of self-deception. Worship is a personal communion with that which is divinely real, with that which is the very source of reality. Man aspires by worship to be better and thereby eventually attains the best. Right.
Mhm.
So there is a top of the mountain that we can get to. The idealization and attempted service of truth, beauty, and goodness is not a substitute for genuine religious experience, spiritual reality. Psychology and idealism are not the equivalent of religious reality. The projections of the human intellect may indeed originate false gods, gods in man's image. But the true God consciousness does not have such an origin. Right, the gods in man's image, maybe we're talking about like Greek gods or making God look like us, right? Okay. The God consciousness is resident in the indwelling spirit. Many of the religious systems of man come from the formulations of the human intellect, but the God consciousness is not necessarily a part of these grotesque systems of religious slavery. So when we talk about religious slavery, we talk about, right, the religious leaders that are very charismatic and take the money from all the people that revere them, and they're substituting that the church for God
Mhm.
in this way, right?
Right.
You can't substitute the church for God.
Right.
And that's very subtle that people aren't aware of that. It doesn't, yeah. God is not the mere invention of man's idealism. He is the very source of all such super animal insights and values. God is not a hypothesis formulated to unify the human concepts of truth, beauty, and goodness. He is the personality of love from whom all of these universe manifestations are derived. The truth, beauty, and goodness of man's world are unified by the increasing spirituality of the experience of mortals ascending toward paradise realities. The unity of truth, beauty, and goodness can only be realized in the spiritual experience of the God-knowing personality. Okay, so I'm thinking of all these scientists trying to find like the ultimate equation that unifies all the forces, all the things here, and they think they'll find. But they won't be able to do that because it's an inner experience.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Morality is the essential pre-existent soil of personal God consciousness. The personal realization of the adjuster's inner presence. But such morality is not the source of religious experience and the resultant spiritual insight. The moral nature is super animal, but sub-spiritual. The moral nature is super animal, but sub-spiritual. Morality is equivalent to the recognition of duty, the realization of the existence of right and wrong. Right. Okay. So there's people that never get above that level. Yep. And they're good people, but they love out of a sense of duty. They do what they're supposed to. Not because of a love of doing God's will or something like that. They just go through like robots, right?
Right.
Okay, so they're not able to get above that. Right. The moral zone intervenes between the animal and the human types of mind as Urantia functions between the material and spiritual spheres of personality attainment. The evolutionary mind is able to discover law, morals, and ethics. But the bestowed spirit, the indwelling adjuster, reveals to the evolving human mind the lawgiver, the father source of all that is true, beautiful, and good. And such an illuminated man has a religion and is spiritually equipped to begin the long and adventurous search for God. Morality is not necessarily spiritual. It may be wholly and purely human, albeit real religion enhances all moral values, makes them more meaningful. Morality without religion fails to reveal ultimate goodness, right? It also fails to provide for the survival of even its own moral values, because it's just do what you're told kind of thing.
Mhm.
Do what you're told,
Mhm.
right?
Right, without thinking.
Yeah. Religion provides for the enhancement, glorification, and assured survival of everything morality recognizes and approves. Okay? Religion stands above science, art, philosophy, ethics, and morals, but not independent of them. They are all indissolubly interrelated in human experience, personal and social. Religion is man's supreme experience in the mortal nature. But finite language makes it forever impossible for theology ever adequately to depict real religious experience. So we can make all kinds of theories about God, but it's not going to approach that.
Mhm.
Religious insight possesses the power of turning defeat into higher desires and new determinations. Love is the highest motivation which man may utilize in his universe ascent. But love, divested of truth, beauty, and goodness, is only a sentiment, a philosophic distortion, a psychic illusion, a spiritual deception. Love must always be redefined on successive levels of Urantia and spirit progression. Yeah, so we've got our language is so impoverished. We only have one word for so there's so much, there's so many aspects of love, but we, what I've said is love is first a feeling, then it's an action. It's something you do. Then it's a way, a manner of being. Lastly, love is just it's a manner of being, of associating with everything, right? It infiltrates who you are and not just what you do or what you feel, right? But most people here are stuck on love as this feeling. And that's what we want to elicit from each other. If you're in a romantic relationship, you want to be able to elicit from your partner all of these feelings of cataclysmic emotion and all this, you know what I mean? Right?
It's like, I have a friend who ministers to Native peoples up near Yellowknife
Yeah.
in Canada. And he said among those people, they have like 100 different words to describe snow.
Right.
So why don't we have 100 different words to describe love?
We need more,
Mhm.
or at least I see those three levels. But here, most people, when they think of love, they're thinking about all of this emotion and the surging, you know what I mean? But that's the lowest, the most immature type of love.
Mhm.
Is this romantic love that, oh, I can't live without you, I'm like lost without you,
And
you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, come back and or yeah, that's immature. More mature than that would be like doing acts of love and providing for somebody's safety and that's more like parental love. You know what I mean? And making sure that somebody is cared for and that feels happy and content and loved. And you're doing these actions to provide that welfare. But more mature is this way that you relate to everything in your world. And that's what I try to attain to. And I fail often in that, but it's a practice. It's something that we practice. Okay. Anyway, okay, I'm going to keep going here. Art results from man's attempt to escape from the lack of beauty in his material environment. It is a gesture toward the Urantia level. Science is man's effort to solve the apparent riddles of the material universe. Philosophy is man's attempt at the unification of human experience. Religion is man's supreme gesture, his magnificent reach for final reality, his determination to find God and to be like him. What I feel like religion on this highest level is like God gave us this magic silly putty, right? To make of it anything you want. It can be anything you want it to be. It can be a blanket when you're cold. It can be, it can be a rope to hang yourself with, right? So, or this tool for building a common, human experience or providing social welfare for everybody. But the thing is that it's become this weapon, and people use it against each other in the most hurtful ways. But that's what I feel like, yeah.
In the TV series Raised by Wolves, the premise is that Earth was destroyed during a religious conflict.
It's powerful hurt. It's capable of hurting, causing more problems than anything else, yeah. Okay. Yeah, religion is man's supreme gesture, his magnificent reach for final reality. So what we're really supposed to make with religion is we're supposed to make ourselves to be like God. So it's supposed to be like a ladder for us to climb to reach heaven. Yeah. Okay. In the realm of religious experience, spiritual possibility is potential reality. Yeah, potential reality, magic silly putty. Man's forward spiritual urge is not a psychic illusion. All of man's universe romancing may not be fact, but much, very much is true. Okay. Some men's lives are too great and noble to descend to the low level of being merely successful. The animal must adapt itself to the environment, but the religious man transcends his environment because we have this bridge to heaven, yeah. And in this way escapes the limitations of the present material world through this insight of divine love. This concept of love generates in the soul of man that spiritual effort to find truth, beauty, and goodness. And when he does find them, he is glorified in their embrace. He is consumed with desire to live them, to do righteousness. Be not discouraged. Human evolution is still in progress. And the revelation of God to the world in and through Jesus shall not fail. Take us home, Andrew.
All right, you better hold
I'm going to hold the thing. You hold the book.
Be not discouraged.
No, I did that.
Okay. The great challenge to modern man is to achieve better communication with the divine monitor that dwells within the human mind. Man's greatest adventure in the flesh consists in a well-balanced and sane effort to advance the borders of self-consciousness out through the dim realms of embryonic soul consciousness, in a wholehearted effort to reach the borderland of spirit consciousness, contact with the divine presence. Such an experience constitutes God consciousness, an experience mightily confirmative of the pre-existent truth of the religious experience of knowing God. Such spirit consciousness is the equivalent of the knowledge of the actuality of sonship with God. Otherwise, the assurance of sonship is the experience of faith. And God consciousness is equivalent to the integration of the self with the universe, and on its highest levels of spiritual reality. Only the spirit content of any value is imperishable. Even that which is true, beautiful, and good may not perish in human experience. If man does not choose to survive, then does the surviving adjuster conserve those realities, born of love and nurtured in service? And all these things are part of the universal Father. Father is living love, and this life is of the Father, is in
This life of the Father.
And this life of the Father is in his sons. And the Spirit of the Father is in his sons.
His son's son.
Sons, mortal men. When all is said and done, the Father's idea is still the highest human concept of God.
The Father idea.
Father idea.
Okay. Thank you. That's the end.
And happy Easter.
Happy Easter. There will be another beginning. Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, there you go.